It's the 60 Go podcast presented by Mint Sports. I'm joined by Damien Seibold. Siebes, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate.
Now, we're talking about the Titans for 2023. Look, I actually think there's some green shoots for the Titans, but still need a lot of work.
There is some green shoots for them, mate. I mean, they've got some good forwards. They've picked up a couple of decent signings, you know, one of them being the coach, Des Hasler, who will certainly add a lot to them. But I still see there's a number of issues with the Titans, with their squad, that they need to get right. So I think they're too top-heavy with what they're paying their forward pack. But again, you don't win games or win comps without a great forward pack. And that's certainly what they do have.
You're right. Fafita, Tino, a lot of money.
There is. Mo Fotuaika's on decent coin.
And you would have to think that Mo's the guy that leaves when his contract's up.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to lose him, though. I think he's a good footballer.
No doubt, but you can't pay, three top-line forwards on not just big money, biggest money in the comp.
And I assume that Keenan Palasia is on decent coin coming across from the Broncos. I mean, he's not a superstar or anything like that, but to get him to move away from where he's comfortable and where he's in a starting 17, there must have been some sort of assurances, whether it's a starting spot or decent coin.
There's two questions I've got for you about the Titans in relation to their spine. A lot of rumours that they're still trying to go after Ben Hunt. Would you still go after Ben Hunt to play 7?
I would love Ben Hunt to play 7 for my club for the next 18 months, 2 years max. They've already got an ageing superstar half in Kieran Foran. Why would you want another one? You can't have both. Now, I think that half is their biggest weakness. Half certainly is somewhere that they need to improve their stocks. But again, is someone who may only have 18 months left in them, is he the right person?
Great point. So that brings back the question, is Tanner Boyd the answer?
No, I mean, again, Tanner Boyd's not terrible. He's a decent footballer and, he tries hard. But I just can't see them... I can't see them pushing for, top 8 honours or going even further with the halves that they've got at the moment.
Yeah.
Again, the other thing for mine is, with the whole chopping and changing around AJ Brimson and Jayden Campbell, I just don't think that works. I mean, for mine, AJ Brimson is a significantly better footballer than Jayden Campbell. I personally think he's their best option at 1. So put him there, leave him there. If Jayden Campbell's only place in that team is number 14, well, so be it.
That's the other question I was going to ask you. So you're going all chips into AJ Brimson.
Well, AJ Brimson's played 4 or 5 Origins now. I mean, and he's been very good every time he's played. Every time AJ Brimson is fit, the Titans are going quite well. They're always winning games. They're up there. They're thereabouts. It's just unfortunate that AJ Brimson... he does get the odd injury, and it's soft tissue stuff, so calves, hemis, that seems to be the thing that hurts him. But I think he is, he's an excellent player. You could move him to 5'8", and he would do that job, quite easily, I think. But they've already got a 5'8" who's better. So I just don't see how it would work. Weakening a spot, yes, as I said, Jayden Campbell, he's not bad. He's a good footballer, but I just don't think he's as good as Brimson. What are your thoughts?
I really like Jayden Campbell. There was a time during the year where they put Jayden Campbell at 5'8", and I actually thought it worked quite well. Could you see a future with Campbell going to 5'8"? Because I
like with 4 in there?
4 and a half back?
Yeah, possibly.
Because I think they're a better team with Campbell in it.
Yes, they are, but defensively in the front line, that's the reason why it didn't last too long with him playing at 5'8" every now and again, is not because he's not a good defender or he doesn't want to defend. He's not a big man. So you got big edge back rowers sending traffic at him. He's just not going to be able to continually handle that.
So do you think in 3 years both of those players are at the club?
AJ Brimson has to be. If they let him go, they're mad.
Okay. So you're going all chips into AJ at fullback?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I just think he's a better player.
Another shining light from this year was Carl Pereira on the wing.
Yeah, he had a good start of the year especially, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think that he's worth persisting with, because one thing that's true, and we spoke to your brother about this last week in regards to Manly, Speed kills.
Yeah, it does, mate. If you've got someone that can capitalise on half a chance, or if you've got someone in your team that when someone makes a break, you know if they get there, if that speed gets there in support, it is a try. It's 6 points straight away. And that's what Khan Pereira brings.
The most exciting team I've ever seen play is the 2017 Storm, where both Vunivalu and Addo-Carr scored 23 tries for the year. And, there would be times when they would actually both link up because they were so fast and they'd make breaks together. And the fact that you've got Sammy, who I actually think it's a perfect combination of wingers. Sammy is a meter eater. He is a great carry.
Yep.
And then you've got Khan Pereira, who is a great finisher and a speed demon. See, I actually think I would much prefer a player like Khan Pereira to Alex Johnson, because Alex Johnson's a great finisher, but Khan Pereira has something that you can't buy.
Well, that pure speed. He also is a little... Khan Pereira, again, is a little bit of a weakness coming out of yardage because, again, he's not that big of a body.
Yep.
But the Titans have other players that do get them out of trouble. When Brimson's at fullback, his meters are really high.
Yep.
They've got Philip Sammy. Like at the start of the year especially, his meters were enormous each game. I think he was averaging up close to 200 at times. So, they do have blokes that can fill that void and help him out.
Well, Sami averaged 170 metres a game for the year. Jaden Campbell, 120, and Khan Pereira, 120 as well. So
what was Brimson?
Brimson, I will look that up. I will look that up.
Yeah, and again, I think the other problem that they've got is around the hooker. So Verrills is a really good player. He's an excellent hooker. He's won a comp. And he was one of the stars in that Roosters team that did win the comp. But again, his injuries are really starting to catch up with him. So I think, he's got those issues around his knees. I don't know exactly where he's at and his contract and how much time he's got left. But I do think the Titans, if they are going to improve and push for the top 8, I think they need to look at something in the halves and hooker. They've got the pieces of everything else, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. And Verrills, I've never been sold that he is just the cure to being a first grade hooker for them. I think he did a fine job at the Roosters in a gun team behind Jake Friend at the time, but to make yourself a top 5 hooker, I just don't think he's there.
Look, I don't think he's anywhere near that. But in my mind, he is a first grade hooker.
Yep.
And he's a good one.
Yep.
Whereas what they had coming in when he was injured, they were guys that were playing out of position or just weren't quite up to it.
130 metres a game for AJ, so a little bit more. But the fact Philip Sami's there is just invaluable for them. He's one of the best carries out of yardage in the game, and that's what gives me a little bit of hope for the Titans. We spoke when we did the Rugby League eye test interview earlier in the year. The Titans are number 1 for where they start their sets. They're number 1, so they're starting their sets further downfield than any other club in the game on average. So their metres out of yardage isn't really a problem for them. It's, first of all, defence, which I think Hasler can bring a lot to. And then, second of all, execution and finishing off.
So last year, the Titans were in 14th spot. So that's where they finished up. They had a negative 126 for and against. So, certainly that's not ideal, and that's where a number of their problems came into play. But, they won 10 games. They won 9 games last year, didn't they? They need to find 3 to 4 wins to make the 8. Looking back and remembering the Titans season just gone, they had 2 or 3 very lucky wins.
Absolutely.
So, I think the 9 wins was almost a false economy where, you play those games 10 times. Well, 9 of them, they probably lose 2 or 3 of them. There was a game that comes to mind against Para at Magic Round, which the Titans just had no right to win that game. There was another one where I can remember them winning. I think it might have been later in the year against
Brisbane.
Yeah.
At the Gabba.
Yeah, that's right. And then there was one, I think, against the Dolphins as well. Was there one against the Dolphins where they ended up getting away with the win, but it was really fortunate?
Oh, the Cowboys.
Oh, Cowboys. That was the one that I was thinking of, yeah.
Yeah. So, look, they did have those scratchy wins, to say the best, and in the last round they beat the Dogs 34-30. And now, if you're conceding 30 points against the Dogs,
Yeah.
it doesn't really tell me a lot about your defence, to be honest.
Yeah, that game was just you score, I score.
Exactly. They love to win games 34-32.
Yeah.
They need to stop that. Like, they need to get rid of that. And I think Des is going to be great for them.
Yeah, defensively, definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, he'll bring a bit of toughness to them. He'll hold them accountable. So there's certainly they should improve. There's no reason why they shouldn't improve. But again, I'm looking at it from the perspective I think they overachieved last year based on how they were playing and a couple of the wins that they had. So I can't see them going too much further up the table.
I can see them making the 8 in 2025.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. We'll have that discussion. In 12 months' time, I could have a completely different perspective on them. But they're like the Dogs for me. They might improve 1 or 2 spots, but I can't see them making the 8. And we've got to remember, while everyone's improving, I think there's going to be a couple of teams that regress.
Yep.
The Dragons are a team that are going to be better. They will definitely be a better footy side next year. So, that pack from 12 to 17, it's just going to get harder for those people to get out of it.
Absolutely. We'll take a quick break and be back with Dave Taylor on the 60 Go podcast.
There's not too many on the professional darts world tour looking like they have
That's a good point.
babysitting on the old LinkedIn bio. They're the least trustworthy athletes of all time.
Absolutely.
Athletes in inverted commas. I remember Phil Taylor,
Power.
back when they used to be able to drink, and he would drink while he was playing, and they were just on the cusp of trying to get rid of booze in the sport. He said, "No, you can't get rid of it. I use it for balance so that I can throw the darts." They go, "Well, couldn't you just hold a book?" He goes, "Mate, I can't drink 12 books while I'm playing darts." For more nonsensical ramblings loosely based on sport, tune into Mint Sports, maybe daily, every week. Maybe.
It's a 60 Go podcast presented by Mint Sports. It's a thrill to have Dave Taylor on the phone. Dave, how are you, mate?
Good, guys. How are you going?
Good, thanks, mate. We did our Titans review today, so it was as good of excuse as any to get you on. Can I ask you about your time at the Titans? What do you look back on there with your time at the Gold Coast Titans?
Apart from the crew that we had there, that we all got along, I think it was one of the clubs that I actually were at where everyone got along with everyone. Everyone was sort of best mates there, and yeah, that's the mateship coming out of the Titans is quite strong.
Mate, look, from memory at the time, there was quite a few of you blokes that were all around the same age and had played either State of Origin with each other or against each other. Did you find that easy? Because, you all had a fair bit in common, being around the same age, liking the same things, and as you said, enjoyed each other's company?
Yeah. Also, I think Gold Coast being a smaller city, we all sort of lived around each other as well. Down in Sydney and places like that, you sort of sometimes spread out. And, it's a bit harder to catch up after hours of football and stuff like that. So being on the Gold Coast, and Gold Coast itself is such a good place that it was quite easy to love the joint.
Yeah, well, mate, obviously you got the beaches there and beautiful surf and then the glitz and glamour, and there's plenty of places to go and have a beer and catch up and have a bit of fun together. Mate, if you could name one teammate, or even if you have to name two, that you enjoyed their company the most when you were at the Titans, can you name one or two?
You're just breaking up a little bit there.
Sorry, mate. If you could name one or two guys that you got along with the most, or enjoyed their company with the most, or had the most fun with when you were at the Titans, who would they be?
Bowie Floon, definitely one of them.
Yep.
We played at South together, and then we both moved up to Gold Coast together. He was sort of one of my close mates for a long time, and definitely Birdie and Nate were all pretty close. Anthony Don was another one, the winger. So we're all quite close when we're there.
Dave, you went from South to the Titans. Were there any other clubs that you were weighing up at the time?
Yeah, North Queensland. I was pretty close to going to North Queensland. Family had a big part to play with it. back then. The children's mother from Brisbane, and that sort of had a big part to play at the time.
Mate, so you said you nearly signed with the Cowboys. Obviously, that would have been a good fit with you being a country boy, growing up in around Blackwater and then coming into St Brendan's for high school. Mate, one of the things that I can always think of is your grade 12 would have been insane, because at the time you were playing school footy, you were playing then a bit of local footy, and then every second or third weekend I can remember you getting flown down to Brizzy to play footy down there for, was it at the Clydesdales at the time?
Yeah. I think it was through the football year. It was every weekend. I was flying down if the game wasn't in Rockhampton. So I played majority of the year for Clydesdales, which is it's pretty unbelievable at the time. Going to school Tuesday to Thursday and flying down to Brisbane on a Friday and flying back on a Monday. It was I was quite the cool kid at school.
Mate, I was going to say, especially St Brendan's being such a rugby league fanatical school, I'm sure when you rolled in every Monday or Tuesday morning, especially the young grade 8 and 9 kids, they would have absolutely been, ecstatic looking up to you at the time.
Yeah, definitely. The love was overwhelming at the time, and definitely a lot of even still today, get a lot of the Brendan's young boys coming up to me saying that they're in year 8 or 9 or 10, that when we're at school together.
And then you went on to play for the Bronx, David. Such a massive club, and at the time, pretty sure it was the only club in southeast Queensland. I'm pretty sure the Titans, maybe they were around, but only just starting. But what was it like playing for such a powerhouse club straight away?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal at the time. The grades that were there: Webke, Thorny, Petro, Lockie, Brent Tate. There's a lot of people, a lot of players there that are Origin superstars at the time. To come into the dressing shed as a 17-year-old, it was as scary as it was quite surreal.
Mate, I'm sure also as well, being such a young bloke and looking up to him, you probably had a sense of calmness when you looked around and saw those blokes sitting in the dressing room thinking, I'm about to go head first into an NRL game here at 18, but I've got some of the great, great Broncos, great forwards to ever play the game. So it must have been comforting to look around and see those blokes.
Yeah, well, you earned your stripes at training. Them boys, they trained the way they played back then. It's changed up a little bit now with the way we train. But back then it was, you got absolutely flogged if you're a young fellow coming into the side. They definitely gave it to you. So they definitely warmed you up to what you're about to expect going onto the field.
And then when you went to South, what was the difference between the two clubs in your mind then? Was it a stark difference straight away?
Yeah, obviously. At the time I went through South, there was a coaching change. Jason Taylor had just been sacked, and Laney just got appointed, and he was only sort of looking just to fill the role until they found someone, which they held him for 2 years. But with coming from a club where Wayne Bennett had been for so many years, the system that he had in place quite hard to beat. So it was a bit of a system shock to come from 18 years old to, I think I was 20 or 21 when I went down there, and just to know only that system. To come to another system was a bit of a shock, but South definitely match it with their professionalism and how they treat their players and what they do for them. Yeah, South's definitely on par.
And Dave, about 6 months ago, I had Nate Miles on, and he told us a story that when he was playing for the Titans, and this just shows the difference between now and then, I suppose, one day they rocked up to training wherever they had their training at the building, and the club hadn't paid the bill, or they couldn't get access to the building at some stage. So then they were training at the back of Burleigh Bears, in the sheds out the back of Burleigh Bears. First of all, were you there, and do you have any stories like that?
Yeah, I kind of remember something like that. I didn't sort of take too much. I just went where they told me to go back then.
It's easier that way.
But I do know we did jump around a little bit when we were there before we sort of found our feet. Training up at the I can't remember what school it was, but we were in Dongers, 35-degree heat, no aircon training. It was a bit rough there a couple of stages.
Oh, mate, I'm sure it would have been an experience, though. Look, before we finish up, thanks very much for your time and having a chat to us today. Mate, just as far as, I'm a Rocky boy, you're a local, just to see, the career you've had and go from being a young bloke at St. Brendan's all the way through to playing in the NRL for 10 years, mate. You should be very proud of everything you achieved and know that everyone was always behind you. So, well done. And the second part of that is, mate, just give us a buzz if you do want to have a run for Brothers this year. I could certainly use a ball-playing prop who thinks they're a 5'8".
Yeah, definitely proud of what I've achieved, especially Mum and Dad being from the area as well. Dad's a local All Black, and he always reminds me that he won a grand final and I didn't. So,
well, we could chase that this year, mate.
You gotta have deep pockets to get me.
I can give you a burger and a beer at the end of each game.
Give me 2 burgers and we've got a deal.
Very good. Hey, Dave, really appreciate your time today, mate. Thank you so much, eh?
Thanks, guys.
Legend. This has been the